After all, Harry and Meghan preach kindness and understanding, so why don't they use this extremely high-profile, 90-minute interview as a way to rebuild bridges and mend broken fences? Palace officials are said to be bracing themselves for a list of complaints from Meghan, but this is an opportunity for her to really demonstrate she wants to heal. Instead of settling scores, imagined or otherwise, this could be the perfect chance for Meghan and Harry to start afresh and to repair ties that have been so ruthlessly cut. This week Megxit was finalised, with the couple officially quitting the royal family and being stripped of their honorary title. The Queen is said to be deeply saddened by it all, and Harry is thought to be devastated at having his military titles taken away from him, and never wearing a uniform again. But they have been at pains to point out they still want to be of service, and one way to prove this is with a positive interview where they hold out an olive branch. If, however, the two of them sit down on Oprah's sofa and fall victim to her deceptively cuddly but relentlessly forensic examination and the results are an outpouring of woe and blame, it will mean there's no going back to any kind of relationship with her. We saw how upset Meghan was during the South African trip. I felt sorry for her, but at the same time her unhappiness overshadowed all of the good work the couple did for incredibly important charities, especially those helping the impoverished victims of domestic violence. She clearly found it very hard to settle down in the stifling world of royal protocol and duty and has my sincere sympathy, because neither. She was also subject to a stream of disgraceful online racial slurs from a small but sadly very noisy group of vile Neanderthals. Meghan and Harry also suffered a miscarriage, which must have been horrendous, and makes the news of their pregnancy if they are young, strong, healthy, wealthy and deeply in love. They have a delightful little boy, Archie, and live in a ridiculously glamorous and comfortable home in La La Land, and now there's another. They are truly blessed, and I hope this Oprah interview will reflect all of that and they both concentrate on all of the things they have going for them, rather than dwell too much on perceived slights. I have always said it is a real shame Harry and Meghan left the firm because they could have done so much good from within the royal family. Meghan brought a freshness and sense of glamour with her that revitalized the rather stuffy Windsors, and the couple were enormously popular, with huge crowds turning up to see the bright and beautiful Meghan. They could have done such a lot during this pandemic, especially in taking some of the burden from the shoulder. Her major is a formidable woman, but she's now in her 90s, and although we don't want to think about it, she won't be around. Her 99-year-old husband Prince Philip is currently under observation in hospital, and she will be deeply concerned about him. In times like these, even royals need their nearest and dearest around them and to have their full and loyal support. It would be such a happy early birthday present for Prince Philip, who turns 100 in June, if his grandson were to give a positive, upbeat and warm interview about his. And if both Harry and Meghan stated they wanted to bring Archie back to see them all as soon as possible, and most especially his great-granny and great-granddad. If the rules allow, it would be the best possible family photograph to see them smiling together and celebrating such an important milestone as Prince Philip reaching his. After all, if this pandemic has taught us anything, it's the importance of family bonds and how much it means just to spend time with one another. And what about Meghan's side of the family? She obviously has a very close relationship with her mum, who was the only member of her family to attend the wedding. But there's a gaggle of other Markles who surely can't all be hideous. There's no longer going to be that dreaded awkward courtroom meeting between Meghan and her estranged father, but at least if that had happened, Thomas Markle would have had a chance to. The two of them haven't been face to face since before her marriage, and Harry has never actually met his father. It's an extremely bizarre situation. Anyway, I wish them both all the best in whatever they decide to do in the future and hope they have a happy, and I have my fingers crossed that they will take the chance to use Oprah as a celebrity go-between to reconcile their differences with the royals, and to remember that Diana's son and his wife and children will always be welcomed here. Just a way to beat trolls as well as being cowardly and spiteful. The online trolls attacking Jackal and Jossa really ought to go to. This beautiful young woman has inexplicably been called chunky by one hideous. She is simply a small, healthy-sized woman who has just lost half a stone through a sensible diet and exercise program after putting on a few pounds. Who hasn't? Jacqueline admitted the criticism affected her confidence, but has the perfect response to the trolls by looking utterly stunning and living a happy. Hanks' flick brings home true meaning. I have just finished watching the always reliable Tom Hanks on TV and his latest film News of the World. It's an interesting take on the traditional Western movie, with Hanks playing a post-Civil War former Confederate Army captain who goes from town to town reading the news headlines till he's basically a living, breathing, talking newspaper. He meets an orphan child, who has the eyes of a very old soul, and promises it's slow, thoughtful and absorbing, and makes you think about what home really means. Is it a place, an idea, or where the people you love happen to be living at the time? I found myself pondering all of the above because lockdown has made me not just homesick but people sick too. I miss my mum and dad and, like so many of us, haven't been able to visit them in Scotland since distancing, although I am indebted to comedian Janie Godley for her invaluable advice to make sure we are 2 Alsatians apart from one another, as I still find it hard to think in metric. Despite being heartily fed up with it all, it's vital we obey the rules in order to get out of these weird Groundhog Days and back to some kind of. I'm counting the days until I can see all of the people I love, when I can go for a walk along the wild and wonderful Orkney coastline, run across the glorious white beaches of Harris and the Outer Hebrides, and just meet pals for a pizza in a restaurant serving food on plates instead of in cardboard takeaway containers. We will get there, we just need to be a little more patient. We need to stick to the rules and embrace the vaccine. I'm still waiting on my letter, and I know I will be very emotional when it's my turn to begin. We've almost gone through an entire year, so we can hold on a little bit longer.